to the Aviation Wealth Club. We are on our 31st session. Last week, in lieu of a session, we had a CEO breakfast in conjunction with Aero at the culinary table, which was a great session. JJ, you were there. Tell us a little bit about your experience last week.
Yeah, it was quite lekker just to see what the guys are planning, and it really looks like the Aero guys are really pushing hard to get all these exhibitions back on track, and the stats, that was quite amazing. Then there was another guy talking about what aviation in the world is looking like, and showed some stats, and our companies are starting to get back into business and how the business is growing. So there's a lot riding on aviation. Even Lancieri were mentioning about their project, about getting the cloud training back on track there, all the expansions. So, I think the aviation space is a good space to be in at the moment. And if you jump in right now, we'll be able to stick in there for the long run.
For sure. Yeah, it was a good session, and we'll learn more about it. Everyone there is quite bullish on aviation. It was obviously before the 12-year ruling came out and all that kind of stuff. But it was a good session to reconnect with some other CEOs in the industry, and I think some value was generated. We're here at the Aviation Wealth Club, where we look at business acceleration, exclusive events, and niche investments. You get 380,000 rands worth of value if you sign up as a member to the Aviation Wealth Club, for only a fraction of that as an annual sign-on fee. And today, we'd like to welcome our members and guests again, and let's share our recent wins. Who's got a win for us that's happened in the last couple of days? Tell us. Rob's trying to remember what he's won.
All of it.
Go for it, JJ.
So you guys haven't been there, so you missed out at A-Span, the Glastonbury, at Sun and Fun on this weekend. Mm-hmm. And the win for me was really just to be able to connect to other pilots and aviation enthusiasts. And I've managed to complete our setup requirements and those type of things that we had for our Youth Aviation Network that's coming up. The event is on the 8th of November at Tetterfield. Sling are going to bring 2 of their aircraft to fly some of the kids. They're sponsoring the main day, and just with one call, I tell you, I was flooded with pilots coming in saying, listen, please, can I be part of this venture for that day? So it was lucky to connect with them. I spent some time with Taryn from Sapphire, as well as with Megan from Infinite, setting out exactly what we got planned, so we're on the same page. So we don't have to have another meeting, so saving some time while we're having fun.
Very nice. Tell us very quickly what the day is going to look like on the 8th of November.
So what we try to do with the Youth Aviation Networks, we're trying to pull in youths, high school kids, and get them more enthusiastic about aviation, showing them how and where to go if they are considering a career in aviation. So the idea for that particular day is to add a bit of value and connect with what they've learned in geography at school and how that applies to aviation. So we're going to have a NAV briefing from Megan from Infinite. Then Taryn's going to do a virtual NAV event with them that they can actually put some of that to practice while they're spending time with the pilot, and then they're going to work out headings, times, airspeeds, and those type of things. And if the weather is good, then we'll get into an aircraft, we'll fly a route so that all the theory that they've learned now, they can actually put to practice and see how that goes. So adding value to their life just to show them this is really how it works.
Excellent. And you said there's going to be about 10 kids that are going to take part.
Yeah, so we're trying to keep it small for right now, just 10 kids. Otherwise, it gets a bit out of hand. and the venue is also quite small. So once this goes well, we can then see what we can do to increase it. So far, I think I've got about 12 or 13 pilots that said, listen, can we help? I'm sure, if we at different days, different times, those type of things, we'll get more people. And as the word spreads, people would be available to assist. Executive will be there as well, because they're one of our main sponsors for the aviation side of things, what we're doing. So then we can actually showcase them what we're doing. Quinton, my son, will be taking the photos for us, and then do a bit of a write-up, and then start putting that into social media so we can start growing following.
Brilliant. The Youth Aviation Network at the grassroots level. I love it. Congratulations, JJ. It's almost like you had someone really good to soundboard this with and to come up with this idea, hey? Some genius.
I think his name was David, if I remember.
Very nice. Well done. Nice. Who else has won?
I made it to 9 years. My wedding anniversary today, so I think that's, in my case, like a serious win. It's been a long, dramatic road full of awesomeness.
Did you say dramatic or traumatic? Just kidding.
I mean, no, it's all good. And yeah, I think that's definitely almost like the biggest win every year, is getting to a place where you've spent the time and put your head down to do the understand, compromising and empathy and all these things that makes a marriage work. I don't think there's a better way of gauging your year than that, really. I mean, the marriage together and you can still bear each other and it's okay. I mean, what else can really be bad,
For sure. Yeah, marriage is definitely something that needs to be constantly worked at. And congratulations, France. 9 years for you and Ashley. Well done.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yay. Tell us, Francois, Rob, how's your last couple of days been?
Francois can go first because I'm struggling. I'm the only win I can come up with is I actually got out of bed this morning because I've been sick for a week. But I've got better wins than that. So just give me a second.
All right, Francois, let's hear from you.
Morning, David. Can you hear me?
Yes.
While Frans was mentioning it, the end of September, I was married 27 years. So, that was, and it was a happy 27 years, so going well. And, so that was a privilege. And then, just going very busy with all the seasonal work now, delivering seed and chemicals still. And we had some rain, so that's good. The farmers are planting. And everything is going great.
Smooth sailing. I love it. And 27 years of marriage.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's a privilege. And just the little ankle tap with the 12-year era, the engines on the airplane. So I bought my airplane with almost 2,000 hours on the engine. Still got 1,000 hours left. Now I'm grounded. So hopefully there will be some win out of that. Hopefully somebody's got a great idea so that we can sort that out.
Absolutely. Let's see how the next couple of weeks go. But I think, Rob, you and me and one or two people need to put our heads together and see where to from here in terms of helping a lot of people get their aircraft either overhauled and or up to scratch and or sold or whatever that transition phase looks like. Hopefully it doesn't have to be a big transition, but I think we need to have a bit of a plan as to what to do and how and how to execute on it. There's a lot of money at stake that a lot of aviators weren't bargaining on, and they, you know, because of the hours left. I mean, 1,000 hours is what, 2 million rands worth of flying, and we have to basically throw that in the toilet because you need to overhaul your airplane now, your engine. So I mean, there's a yeah, there's a challenge where that we need to fix in some way.
So if you're a professional engine overhauler, you win out of this.
Yeah, you can, but there's already a massive constraint on the supply chain. Even like just the parts coming from all over the world, there's a massive delay and there's a massive constraint on the supply of parts. So any overhaul at the moment is taking what it should have taken like 6 to 12 weeks is now taking 6 to 9 months, and that's already happening. And now with 1,000 airplanes that are supposed to now overhaul themselves or get themselves overhauled, that's just going to add to the problem. And what it also does is eliminates a lot of those 1,000 airplanes that are supposed to be overhauled. Half of them are not, or more than half of them are just not going to do it. Some of those airplanes, it's not even economically viable to overhaul them, so they become scrap. The other ones then need to get overhauled at a massive cost in being financed in some way, and then probably sold overseas. So the fleet is going to reduce massively. So in the short term, sure. In the medium term, it's gonna really hurt all AMOs, all maintenance organizations.
Mm.
Now, Rob, just for your information, there's extra challenge there. So for you to export your aircraft, your senior C of A, which is a certificate of airworthiness, you can't get that on aircraft that's not serviceable. So there's a bit of a big gray area there, unless you have the original import documentation. If you have the original import documentation, then you don't need it. But the thing is, most of these machines are, 20 to, let's say, 50 years older. No one has that original import certificate anymore. So even exporting it to like the US is, for a lot of guys, actually impossible to do now.
Yeah.
And is the argument behind this something to do with, and it might not be factually correct, but something to do with increasing aviation safety or something of that? Is that the argument behind it?
Yeah. So the manufacturers, just to cut to it, but the manufacturers have decided that there's a time and so actual time on like calendar time as well as hour time on the serviceability of an engine, and they put that out. Now there's a lot of debates about if that's like the law or if it's just a guideline, and I think that's where a lot of the back and forth comes from. But bottom line is the manufacturers have decided, let's say, safest parameter for an engine to be operating within. And it's just out of that where the regulators now said, okay, but you can't buy that machine. And there's been changes in the past as well, where they've kind of let it run longer, and there were durations of time where they've kind of given exemptions on it and that kind of thing. And it got to a point where they said, okay, no more exemptions, no more anything. This is it. You've got to stick to those, let's say, manufacturer recommendations. And that's created this whole explosion, because there was, let's use David's example of 1,000. There was 1,000 aircraft working under those exemption, let's say, rules. So outside of those parameters, and then obviously a lot of them very close to it and coming up to it, that have now fallen within those categories. So that's where that like shock comes from.
Yeah, and it's masked in safety, but there's no reliable stats to show that if your engine is overhauled or not overhauled, and hasn't been in the last 12 years, that it leads to further engine failures. It's like, you know, all aircraft all across the world all run on condition. So as long as they've been maintained and the condition is still good, you don't have to overhaul within that 12-year period. It's only the hours that they say. If it's done 2,000 hours, you have to overhaul. But if that 2,000 hours runs longer than 12 years, then you don't, it's either 12 years or hours. And so we had the exemption not to have to do it on the 12-year and only on the hours. So that's why Francois was saying his has still got 1,000 hours, but his engine is 12 years old now. And 12 years, if you fly 2,000 hours in 12 years, you have to fly 166 hours a year. 166 hours a year. How many hours did you fly last year in the last 12 months, Francois?
David, I fly about 80 to 100 hours a year.
80 to 100. And that's double what a normal private pilot will fly. JJ, how many hours have you flown in the last year? Joe?
You must be muted.
Yeah. On average, like a private pilot flies between 35 to maybe 60 hours. That's a good amount of recreational flying in a year. Francois obviously flies a little bit more than that. I know JJ flies at every opportunity he can get, so his is probably a bit higher. But you know, since he's been to Oshkosh, I don't know if he's told you guys before, but anyway. So, but the point is, like 166 hours for any pilot to fly is a hell of a lot, unless if it's not commercial.
It's 3 hours a week, isn't it? Plus minus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's close to 8 or 9 grand a week on flying. So it just doesn't make sense. So anyway, so I thought the opportunity here now is, let's say we don't get this thing resolved. The opportunity now is then to like make sure that each aircraft, or to try and make sure that each aircraft flies that 166 hours a year. The solution there is fractional ownership, which reduces the fleet in the country, but at least then gets the aircraft to be used 150 hours a year. So if you have 3 people who fly 50 hours a year, that'll be great. The problem is everybody wants to fly on a Saturday morning. You know, not everyone has a Thursday or a Tuesday. You know, you can't divide that time up, which is why people have their own private airplane. So anyway, it's a conundrum.
They don't have the week to fly and can only do it on weekends because they're not part of the Aviation World Club.
Correct.
Hotel
So this is the
JJ.
problem. This is the problem we're going to solve.
Oh,
And I mean, the bridging finance is a simple one for the because if that aircraft is, you can't export it because it's not the, and all you need to do is do the engine. The engine costs like R1 million or whatever. You can do bridging finance and then sell it. You know, so it doesn't need to be stuck. Like it's yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a doom and gloom where the guys are just going to be stuck with machines and can't get rid of it. I don't.
Yeah.
Unless the machine's already like old and manky, you know.
Yeah, some of them are just not, like an old 172 or an old thing. I mean, to pay R1 million and the airplane's only worth 500K, even with an overhauled engine, you're not going to get 1.5 million for the airplane, you know. So anyway, I don't think it's as bad as everyone thinks, and I'm sure there are a lot of workarounds that we can figure out. So, but it is, like Francois said, it's a bit of an ankle tap that we were hoping wouldn't materialize.
okay. So my wins for the week, and then I must go pee before I do my bit of the session. But my wins for the week is I got 4 big ass new 4x4 tires on my 4x4. Why these brands sell top of the range 1.2, 1.3 million rand 4x4s with road tires on is slightly beyond me.
Yeah,
but they seem to. So I've got 4 new tires, 3 new employees starting in the next 6 to 8 weeks, which is cool, just before Christmas. I'm just transferring to a new business management tool that's like a cool CRM integrated with websites, integrated with several bots, and automated WhatsApp and email bots that do a lot of follow-up work for us in pre-trained sequences, and a whole bunch of other stuff coming together. It's not cheap, but we're slowly migrating across to that last week and this week and probably the next month. And then the highlight is my client Eugene, who won came sixth in Alex Hormozzi's book launch thing the other month. Eugene is currently at acquisition.com in the States, and he's there for 8 days. And he is pretty much calling me every day like an excited 5-year-old to share his learnings with me and what he's found and this, that, and the other. And that's just a early evening or late evening last night, like little delight to my day to go and A, have a client that achieved that for himself, but B, have somebody who's like reporting back excitedly. And apparently Tony Robbins will be there today at Alex's at acquisition.com as part of whatever Alex is doing this week with them all. So the cool thing is later on this week, he gets an hour to interview Alex Hormozzi, all professionally filmed and recorded, that he can then use for his own social media to ask Alex anything that he wants to. So that is a pretty cool opportunity, and I'm just enjoying having that daily, hey, you never guess what call. I think it's quite cool.
Excellent. Oh, that's amazing.
Give me 30 seconds. I need to go pee quickly.
Go for it. And my win right now is that I'm on track to have another amazing month, which it might be even my biggest month ever again. Rob will be proud of that when he hears it. And then, and so will France. Thank you, Francois. And the other win really now is that I think we need to focus a huge amount on business automation in this session. Well, not this session, but in sessions coming up. I think that will help us free up our time. A lot of what we've already discussed about freeing up time and freeing up ourselves as business leaders to focus on the horizon instead of just on the day-to-day narrowed stuff. So I think, and since Rob is actually, I know France as well, both Rob and France are both looking at a lot of business automation software and CRM stuff that does a lot of the mundane work and things that actually turn meetings and introductions into money. So I know you guys are doing a lot of work on that automation, and I think if we can pull that automation information and systems into our business, we can free up a lot of time to go and make real money. Rob, I was just quickly, I don't know if you heard that, but basically I think we should focus on business automation for business owners in the Aviation Wealth Club to free up time and money for us at a later stage. I think we've got to do a couple of good sessions on that.
Yeah. It depends what stage people are at in their business, but yes, you should only automate what actually already works. And so there's like the trial and error stage of getting your customer acquisition to work. And this actually links into part of the conversation I've got this morning for my teaching part is these bots that we've trained or we're training that via WhatsApp, email, and soon to be phone calls, voice phone calls using AI. I've put close to 270 hours of sales conversations in to go and train them. And so we're modeling it on what's actually working as opposed to just our best guesses. And so I think you're right about automating, but I also think it needs a little bit of caution, as if you've got something that only works 50-50, you'll automate 50-50, and the automation will probably make it more like a 60% loss and 40% win as you take the human factor out. So it's
So you only get 20% wins. Yeah.
Everything you automate reduces effectiveness. It increases efficiency and reduces effectiveness. And so you've got to have something that runs at like 80% efficiency, automate it, and you'll probably have it at 70% efficiency. Not efficiency, sorry, effectiveness.
Yeah.
It becomes a volume game, right? So if you can do something on a one-to-one person basis and get an 8 out of 10 win, it's not very efficient, but it's very effective. If you can then take that 8 out of 10 win and automate it, and now automate it to 100 people an hour, not one person an hour, you lose some of the effectiveness, but through the efficiency of it, you win on a larger scale.
I get it. So if you can see 10 people a week and close 8 of them, your bot can see 100 people a week and close 60 of them. So you're going from 8 to 60.
That's it.
I think that effectiveness reduction is the big psychological barrier for us handing anything over. It's like if we even employ someone in our businesses, we know that we would do 8 out of 10 or 8 to 9 out of 10, but that person will only do 4 to 5 out of 10. And then we say, no, that's not good enough, so I'm just going to keep doing it. When in fact, if you had 10 people, not even bots, just 10 people doing 4 to 5 out of 10, you'd get 40 instead of your 8.
That's it.
And that reduction in effectiveness is what's so hard for us to hand over.
We most often have expectations of employees that actually we can't meet ourselves. And the reality is that it's not the employee's business. Therefore, they're not likely to go and put into it what you put into it. Like they don't own equity in it. They don't have, profit shares, or not say profit shares. They don't have equity or dividends. It's very different to profit shares.
Yeah.
And equally, if they had our level of expertise and knowledge, they'd be our competition, not our employee. And so we're often quite unrealistic about who we employ and how we employ them. But you are right, David, it becomes a numbers game. And I don't think we actually understand the numbers of our businesses well enough in terms of the numbers that actually matter.
100%.
I think we focus on the late numbers. We don't focus on the early ones, but it's the early ones that dictate the late outcome.
I 100% agree. And with that, just know that we've got some really good events and updates coming up. There's the SAPFA ANR, which is an air navigational rally happening this Saturday at Wonderboom Airport. We'd love to see everybody there. We've already got 10 entries to the ANR, and we're hosting a bit of a flight school challenge between the different flight schools at Wonderboom, at Legend Sky, and a couple of the other guys. It's not just for flight schools; it's for all pilots to come along and enjoy the day, and we're gonna have a really good time. We've got the Cape Town Safety Symposium on the Thursday, the 6th of November. We're gaining a hell of a lot of support and a hell of a lot of traction. We've got our awesome speakers lined up. We've got some really fun stuff lined up for that event. Not just in aviation. I've got Ruan coming. Rob, he's bringing a couple of his High Carrot Club members to come and display some really high-end jewelry and stuff that they've manufactured and designed. So just as just quite a nice thing to fit in with the high-value aeroplanes and the sort of aviation theme and the high net worth jewelry stuff there. We've got some security guys that are coming to do a bit of a proof of concept for their CPO work that they do. So some additional fun stuff that all ties into aviation and being in big business like we are. So really cool event happening there. And then Wonderboom, also the safety symposium. Again, my speakers are lined up, and we are going to be starting to punt this really hard as soon as in the next couple of weeks before so that we can get a lot of support for that. But I have no doubt that we're going to get a good number of visitors and obviously sponsors and all those kinds of things as well. So, and again, just a reminder, everyone who's in the Aviation Wealth Club qualifies for a 50% discount on all of the sponsorship packages that we've got available. Quick one, France, tell us why you showed up today. France.
Sorry, man, my internet's not flipping working today. Must be Auntie Helen.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to share this insight, man, to get into the conversation with like-minded people, trying to build something. The ideas with the 12-year thing, and then like an idea I had now. While Rob was talking and you guys were talking about already economies of scale, actually. And I mean, think about it. That's part of the reason why the insurance industry is so completely broken. And one of the things you and I fight every day, David, is that if you can't do anything, you become an insurance agent. So like if you have no skills.
All the failed estate agents land up in the financial services industry.
Yeah. And it's a massive problem. That's why you see, like something like only 5% of guys make it to year 5 or something. It's because they just like don't have any skills really. And from the insurance, well, I mean, the big insurance companies and the like normal ABC brokers down the road, it's a sausage factory, right? They just get in anyone who's willing to take the job. They get paid on commission anyway, so it doesn't matter. They've got no risk. And it's exactly that thing. It's just numbers. So it's like they know if the only thing they need to do is motivate these new guys to sit in front of as many people as possible. That's the only job, because it's a numbers game. So if they sit in front of 100, they know someone really bad is going to get 5 out of 100. And that's why most people's experience with a broker is actually really bad and forceful or whatever. It's because he was one of the 5 out of the 100, and this guy got super desperate, and he had to really push him into a corner for a deal because he had to pay stuff at the end of the month. So no one cared about was the right thing for the client or not, right? But from the insurance and the brokerage down the road's point of view, like they don't care. It's not about that. It's a numbers game. It's a get in front of enough, get enough brokers in through the door to each see 100 guys, get the 5 people signed on, and they don't care if the guy stays or not. Like they've got those 5 clients, and once it gets to, let's say, 100 clients like that, they get a paraplanner in, pay them almost nothing, and they then become like the client excellence champion or whatever. And then the client gets an email saying, you're very important. We've given you to someone that can dedicate you to service or whatever. And and that's kind of how that pipeline works, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just had that thought that it's all the same.
It is, but at the same time, I think what we're going to focus on in the Aviation Wealth Club is definitely efficiency, but not reducing that effectiveness by 80%, but rather by 10 or 15%, so that we still maintain some kind of credibility, within all of our businesses. But
there's nothing wrong with
the
it.
problem out there, is that nobody cares. Nobody cares about the effectiveness.
Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But I think it depends on what you want to achieve as the business owner. Like, what do you want to achieve? Do you want to build something that is just like a money machine, and nothing else really matters? Well, then fine. Then none of this is going to matter. Then it's just going to be a case of, what does the numbers say? Follow the numbers. And that's why, let's say, the brainiac guys like the CAs and all those kind of things, guys who really understand numbers are also like quite analytical, and there's a lot of emotion out of it. I think it's also important, maybe Rob, I mean, you can tell me if you think I'm missing the mark here. But I think it's also very important to build a business that that mirrors your true identity and personality, so that you can be happy with it, so that you can walk, if you want to. That's what I kind of said, it depends, each person is different, but if you wanted to walk a 15-20 year road in this business, then sure, maybe that looks completely differently to a guy who just wants to build a business in the next 5 years and sell it. And I think there'll be two very different ways of approaching this.
Yeah, if you look at the insurance industry, because it's one that two of you are in, the numbers are important, but the challenge in the insurance industry, in fact most industries, is that people understand the numbers, but they don't understand what drives the numbers. And they're making numbers-based decisions. So an insurance broker or a salesperson makes this much money profit for us every year. So it's just a game of having more salespeople, because then we'll increase the profit margin, which is true. But if you look at the fastest increasing in size businesses and the fastest decreasing in size businesses, in the insurance world, Liberty and Old Mutual are the fastest shrinking, fastest losing customer share insurance businesses in South Africa at this point in time. Nothing to do with the quality of their products. It's just in terms of customer share, they're losing it very quickly. And Outsurance and King Price are the fastest growing. And I was with one of the founders of King Price last week, and his fascination at the human behavior that drives the numbers is the key to the keys to the kingdom. It's human behavior at a customer level that drives the numbers that he's looking for, and his absolute fascination at that is quite remarkable, to the point that he invites, and I saw it happen, actuaries out of a meeting unless they can have a human conversation. He's like, yeah, your numbers are cool, but what drives the numbers? What actually makes this happen? What makes Franz so good, or JJ so good, when he sits in front of a customer and gets 2 out of 3 say, yes, I want to use your services, JJ? What is the human behavior that JJ demonstrates to achieve that? Because that's the bit that we need to grab hold of. And I think you're exceptionally right. I think the days of somebody just building a quick business in 5 or 10 years, selling it and exiting for a very large amount of money are close to gone. I think that it's going to be the human behavior stuff that really makes the difference. Anyway, that's which is kind of interesting, because that's what I want to share today on our Round the Houses tour.
Yeah. Without further ado, take it away, Rob. Let's have it.
So 2 weeks ago, on Friday night, I finished my 3-week South African speaking tour. And I was pretty tired. We spoke to 2,500 people over 16 talks and did an online seminar in 3 weeks to 60 odd people around the world. That was pretty cool. And I flew to Joburg for the weekend because I finished in Cape Town, because Kerry, my wife, wanted me to spend the weekend with her family and her up in Joburg, so I did. And typically I got there, they've all got the flu, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. Please, please, please don't let this end how I think it could end. Well, it ended on Wednesday like I thought it could end, with me in bed, and I've been there pretty much ever since. In fact, this morning was the first morning I got out of bed before 8 o'clock in the morning, in honesty, since then. But as with all of us, I don't know if any of you tried spending 5 or 6 days just feeling grotty in bed. You end up being incredibly frustrated, and you're like, I've got to do something useful. Like, what can I do that's useful? So this morning I want to share with you the outcomes of what I've done while sitting in bed over the past 5 days, and it is actually quite remarkable. And so I was searching for what's a needle I can move forwards, what's something useful I can do that I can use AI for and not use my brain. Because if I have to use my brain, that feels like being lost in the fog, it's not going to be very useful to anybody. And so I started taking all of our recorded closing meetings, sales meetings for Kingdompreneur and for myself over the past 18 months. The ones where we sold and we closed and we actually got the deal. And then I took a whole bunch of the ones that didn't go across the line and I put them through a platform called Otter. And if you don't know what Otter is an AI-based transcription thing. You can go and shove in MP3s, video recordings, anything you've got, and it will give you the word-for-word transcription. It gave me very, very large quantities of, I think I say we've got close to 270 hours worth of transcripts. And I started putting them into ChatGPT to go and look at the language patterns that when used either get a sale across the line or they prevent a sale from happening. And what I really want to share with you today is the simplicity of what's come out the other end, right? These language patterns, by the way, you can use in written word or in spoken word. You can use, I think, in any language, so Afrikaans, English, or any African language. I don't think it's restricted. I've then, yesterday, I fact-checked it by taking 10 hours of Alex Hormoz's videos, transcribing those to see does he do the same. And the interesting thing is he does exactly the same thing with his language patterns. So this is quite a large piece of, I say work, because I haven't really done much work other than doing the like click here, upload there, download the transcript, put it in a document, shove it into ChatGPT and ask it some questions. So I haven't really done very much. This is just me clicking and dragging and drawing stuff around and asking ChatGPT some questions. So there's two patterns that have jumped up out of all of this. The first is the more often you use the word I or my in any sales conversation or marketing, the less likely you are of getting the sale. Right? So the more often you use the word I or my, the less likely it is of closing the sale. In fact, when the words I or my were used in a combination more than 5 times in one 60-minute period, no sale was closed. Right? I or my, more than 5 times in a 60-minute. And that, by the way, isn't from the customer's perspective. That's from you, the representative of the business, the salesperson's perspective. Right? No sale was closed. Interestingly, Alex Hormozi rarely uses I or my in his sales calls or conversations as well. Very, very interesting in terms of that coming out. So there's a direct correlation between I and my and not making money. And that then took me down the rabbit hole. Well, if that closes sales opportunity, what increases sales opportunity? What words? And so when we switch I or my from to you, yours, or we, sales opportunity increases dramatically. So, for instance, a example would be to say, you know, my package has a 90% success rate, right? The difference between that and this is how we've helped a company like yours achieve a 9 out of 10 success rate is absolutely astronomical. Now, according to ChatGPT, the reason for this difference is that it starts to what's called anchor the customer in associating themselves with being a customer of ours, whereas I or my disassociates them. Right? So I or my is here, you or yours is there. Other patterns that we've noticed is I can offer you, or my business can offer you, is a language pattern that decreases sales, whereas let's look together at a package that can achieve X and Y for you. Right? It becomes more collaborative. Now, there is actually biblical language stuff within that. If anybody wants to talk Christianity and how this is actually within our faith, if you're a Christian, it's actually within the Bible as well. So if anybody wants to have that, we can do it. The simple version of this is the most repeated instruction by Jesus is love God, love others as thyself. It means that thyself comes last. I or my is putting yourself ahead of the customer, the others. You, yours, and we actually puts them ahead of you. And if you always put the customer ahead of you, you're always more likely to make more money and get more deals. Right? So it actually fits in with a biblical thing. But so that's the first thing in terms of a language play for you to go and have a play with. The thing I like the most is it's really simple to hold in your head. And I just used the word I again several times in that. Damn it. And so I'm not saying this is easy, but it is simple. The second thing is we often ask people things like, what's holding you back? Or from moving forward, or can you tell me a challenge or concern or a problem you're facing? Interestingly, those actually increase the level of objections that people will have at the end of a sales meeting. And what I found through all of this hours is if we instead ask somebody a question like, what needs to be true for you to find this an easy decision to make for yourself, actually decreases the amount of objections and increases the ease of people to go and say yes to us. What needs to be true for you for this to be an easy decision for you to make? The beauty of that is they'll usually tell us, here's all the truths I've currently got. And here, Mr. Representative of the company, is the truths I'm missing. And they give you the truths that you need to get, the gaps that you need to go fill for them. So I've consolidated all this down a little bit into a little bit of a brief thing that I'll put in the WhatsApp group for you. But what I want you to hold on to is, as opposed to asking people what could be a challenge or problem, maybe we ask them what their successful outcome is they're looking for, and ask them what they think their most sensible next step with you would be to achieve their successful outcome. I think what I'm getting from all of this is we need to sell less and we need to ask better more. The final part of it, the goose with the golden egg, should we say, was that when a salesperson or representative can say, can you tell me what you think this will do for you and how it can easily work for you? When the customer can achieve that, they almost always buy. And so part of our conversation with people is, how can you get them to tell you in their way what it is that you do for them, and how it will work for them? If we can get a customer to that, the likelihood of the sale jumps to pretty close to 10 out of 10 the entire time, because they've just sold themselves. So I know I've waffled a lot in all of this. I guess what I had is, what do you observe from what I've shared? Like, this is no insignificant amount of, I mean, my own recordings is 270 hours plus 10 hours of Alex or Moses stuff, all transcribed and then just AI'd, right, to go and draw out the basis of it. What are you taking from this, or maybe what can you learn from this?
Yeah, Rob, my signal dropped a little bit, so I heard some of it, but not all of it. But the thing is, the way that you you look at the sale is much different. Maybe it's all that you can do for the customer, and that's maybe the wrong angle to do it. If I understand you correctly, so we need to change the way we sell in the questions we ask.
As opposed to what can you do for the customer, what can the customer do for you with what it is you have? Or what can they do for themselves with what it is that you have?
Yeah, what can they achieve for themselves?
I think that puts it in a whole new perspective. The client will answer you then.
So if you've got a seed and fertilizer combination that does X and Y, ask them what, so like, just tell me, what does X and Y really mean for you when you actually have that as your experience in the next 6 months? And let them tell you, and equally probe them, like, oh, cool, well, so you'll have a higher yield and you'll make more money. So what is that like? What are you going to do with the extra money? Oh, I'm going to invest in new fencing and a new tractor and pay off my kids' school fees and get the bank off my back and so on and so forth. They're actually no longer buying fertilizer and seed from you. They're buying the new tractor, the upgrade in the farm, the overdraft being cleared. That's actually what they're buying from you.
Yeah, I like that, Rob. Thank you so much.
No worries. Sorry, David, I interrupted you.
No, not at all. That's brilliant. France and I had a discussion yesterday about. Sorry.
Oh, go on, sorry.
France and I had a discussion yesterday a little bit about how things are actually opposite. And what actually works is completely the opposite of what you think works. And this speaks directly to that. We always think we need to educate and tell and, force people into understanding what we want them or how it's going to help them, etc. But you kind of need to draw the person in rather than, use a pulling technique rather than a pushing technique. And one of those things was, like I said to France, that's how We Buy Cars became the biggest auto wholesale retailer in the country. How did that happen? And their whole narrative wasn't, we'll sell you a nice car or come and get a great car from us. It was, we'll buy your car. Completely the opposite narrative. But it achieved the thing they want, and what we wanted was good cars and to get rid of our old shitty car.
And they solved their number one industry problem for themselves in the automobile industry is actually stock.
Yeah.
They solved that problem for themselves. It's very, very clever. JJ, from my monologue or my rant, what did you take?
So I had an interesting communication with the customer yesterday. So because we're doing all these licensing assignments for our customers, and I've been dealing with this guy for over 20 years. he received an email from Microsoft saying that there's a license that's about to expire, and obviously we are aware of it. And he then said to me, when I said to him, "Don't worry about it, we've already taken care of it," his response was quite interesting. He said, "So JJ, if you are hit by a bus, what then?" So my response to him was very similar to what you're saying in the communication. Is it's not me, it's not JJ, it's the business. And I think by making sure that you use the wording in your communications, in your social media and your advertising website, those type of things, that we or us, and explain how you've helped others, those type of things, that helps the customer understand that it is not just a one-man show. So my response to him was exactly that. And I said to him, so here is the communication options. If you need to request licensing, send this to this email. This will go to so-and-so. And because this customer has been dealing with us for so long, he knows most of the people in our business already. And I think just putting that on paper for him, and here's the contact numbers, here's the emails, this is a person's name, that put his mind at ease.
It's interesting, JJ. We got some feedback last week. We're just changing the Kingdompreneur onboarding sequence, and we're improving it. And I've taken myself out of the onboarding sequence as a, in fact, out of the whole sales and onboarding sequence, I've taken myself out completely. There's no human engagement from me. And one of the things that we've had is from a guy who's got an accounting business in Pretoria who's just signed up for the next 12 months. And he's been with another coaching provider. And he's like, this is incredible. So on day 3, I get Peter call me, ask me how it's going. And she has a coffee with me and introduces me to a few people. And then a few days later after that, Tristan comes and says, is there anything on social media that you'd like us to film or do? And here's how to, if you see our social media stuff, please share it. And then I get a phone call from Caleb, who kind of like introduces me to somebody else. He's like, I've had all these touch points in this business over just 3 weeks. Not a single one of them has been Rob. Like he sees me within the group coaching sessions anyway. But his feedback was just how impressed he was by it, and how he thinks by taking it into his accounting business, it'll make such a difference. And I think that going back to JJ's like trusting of people and employing of people, it makes it so impressive to a customer that that you're more than just a ... whatever it may well be, a one-man band Microsoft business. And you know that we have these sequences laid out. I think that it really makes a big difference for the impression of the customer. I just think, yeah, anyway, enough waffle.
Isn't it it's just the current reality, future reality thing. So it's like you need to show the client the path from their current reality to their future reality and have them recite it back to you. Where the current reality is like a factual analysis of a system's present state, while the future reality is maybe like a conceptual model of what could be after implementing the changes. And then the relationship between them, I think, is often used as a strategic problem solving, like the theory of constraints, current and future reality trees, and current reality tree diagnosis problems, and the future reality tree maps out the desired state. So it's like it's those two, and like mapping and showing them, and then just having them relay it to you.
If you think about it, just take what you just said. People have a current model of the world that they have feelings attached to. And there's some facts attached to, but you know, most people buy off feelings. Well, actually, the people spend more on feelings than they do on facts. And that's quite a substantial amount more on feelings than on facts.
But that's what
so
you
the
do.
current model of the world. Yeah, current model of the world, feelings and facts attached to it. They've got a desired model of the world with feelings and facts in it. And what they're looking for is a a step ladder that's going to take them between where they are and where they wish to be, that involves a number of steps for them to follow. People don't believe in one-step solutions anymore. They believe in a series of steps. And that often means that we just go and take the one-step solution we've got and go and start somewhere with it, like chunk it back. Like, let's start with your life insurance. We'll meet again in a few months' time, and then we can talk about your retirement, as an example. And that's effectively the journey, that if all can piece that together for people on a case-by-case basis, it makes it easier for the customer to buy from us. You know, the metaphor or analogy that I used recently was the Wizard of Oz had the Dorothy and the Tin Man and whatever else, and they were all traveling towards Oz, but they were on the yellow brick road. It's showing people what the bricks in the road are that will take them towards their version of Oz, and getting them to tell us why Oz will be so desirable and how they just want to step onto the next brick. So yeah, Franz, I think I just agreed with you in different words. Ooh, David, that's it from me.
I love it, Rob. Thank you very much. I think that we've all gained a lot of insight today, and yeah, I'm going into 2 sales meetings later today, and I'm definitely, let me rephrase that. Let us rephrase that. We should use less I's and we's, and we will speak more collaboratively together, and we will uncover what the truths are that are required for these sales prospects to get across the line, so that we can achieve they can achieve their dream outcomes.
And Rob should go for his we before the session starts.
Say that again, JJ.
Rob should go for his we before the sales speech starts.
It's, JJ, believe it or not, I need it's the whole being sick thing. I need another P now, damn it. I've got an insatiable thirst that no matter how much I drink, I still feel thirsty. And between that and drugs is yeah. Anyway.
Nice one. I think we've all learned a lot, and we can all go and implement these new changes into our business and move the needle that much better for all of us. So lovely to see you all. And I think we all need to go and make a bit of money today. Scratch that. A whole bunch of money.
Thank you, everybody. Great week.
Excellent. Cheers.
Thank you, guys. God bless.
Cheers, Francois. JJ.
Good one. Good one. Cheers, JJ. I'm going to stop recording. Hold on.